Welcome to your Entrepreneur Resources show. I'm super excited that you're here with me today, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host, and here at your Entrepreneur Resources, we discover the no-fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It's Fred. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. So Fred Copestake is the founder of Brindis. Oh my gosh, Brindis, right?
You got the hard one right. You got Copestake right, and then it's Brindis. Yeah.
Okay, so Fred Copestake is the founder of Brindis, a sales training consultancy. So over the past 22 years, he has traveled all around the world, and he's visited 36 countries working with 10,000 salespeople. He's taken some of the things that really make a difference in a modern selling and put these in his book, Selling Through Partnering Skills. And he has a strong belief that people can get better through learning and sharing, and that with better collaboration, we can all really make a difference. So I'm super excited about this chat. And in this interview, we're going to be talking about the 3 challenges faced in selling and how to address them by taking a collaborative approach. So before we dive right into talking all about sales and all about the techniques, would you like to share a little bit more about your business and your journey with us?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so Brindis does what it says on the tin. We're a sales training consultancy. We help salespeople to get better. I don't want to elaborate much further on that because that is what we do. I think sometimes people overcomplicate stuff, but that's how we go about things.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to work far more in running accelerators so that we can have a very structured approach to helping people become more collaborative in their sale and bringing in lots of different elements to the training rather than kind of the traditional classroom, come for 3 days, have far too much stuff that you can't really apply all at once. And we can't do that anyway, can we? So it is breaking stuff down, manageable chunks, coaching, having sales enablement platform to take the real life work that people are doing as a result of learning, having a robot to help coach them using artificial intelligence, podcasts to listen to. Yeah, I try and put as much stuff in there to really help people move the dial.
That's amazing. And who were the main people that you worked with when you were, I mean, still to this day, who are the people that you work with in terms of sales?
So B2B salespeople, they will tend to be who I work with most. I can work with any B2B sales, though the people that are involved in a more complex, sophisticated sale would tend to get better results. So by complex, it's higher value, longer sales cycle, more people involved, probably more moving parts to the solution. That is where the things that we cover will really make a difference for them. But anybody who's involved in professional selling and wants to get better can take benefit from what we do.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in and talk about the challenges, because I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs that's listening, is probably like, oh my gosh, selling. I'm scared of selling, like the mindset of, getting over the fear of asking for people to pay. That's a huge thing that people have to face these days. And I know that in my audience, there are people that's like, okay, but I don't want to sound sketchy. I don't know how to approach this. So I would love to hear the 3 challenges you can share with us when it comes to selling.
Mindset is one of them, but the way I tend to think of them, and this is anybody involved in sales. As I say, I look at the B2B audience, but it will totally map over into your audience here. And the way I categorize them to sort of summarize quite a lot of things going on are busy. That's one challenge. Oldie worldy is another challenge, and muddled mindset is the third challenge. So I break those down. Busy. This is where people are rushing around, doing lots of stuff. They're working really quite hard, but the things they're doing aren't the things that make a difference. It's the wrong activities. It's not things that will give them a result, and it's quite tiring, quite stressful, and it becomes a sort of ever decreasing circle, or a sort of a vicious circle, because it's not working. People then tend to try and do more, throw more at it, and it's a bad place for salespeople to end up with. end of pin. Sorry. So we try to deal with busy.
That's so true. I
Oldie
feel
world.
like we all do this, no, but it's so true because sometimes you wake up in the morning, you're like, okay, let's be productive. You sit in front of your computer and you're like, okay, I'm working. And then it's bedtime and you're like, hold on a second, I don't think I've really accomplished much, right? So I feel like that's a problem that people actually face quite a lot.
Yeah, much endeavor, and managers will often kind of drive that behavior, and they're probably doing it with quite good intent, except it's just not working. It's not the right stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you layer in the next challenge, I mean, all these work together, and you'll often get people go, I'm all free. Then the next one is oldie worldy. And what this is about is just using old fashioned techniques. It's doing stuff that doesn't work because it's old. It's that kind of manipulative, tactic, self-centered type selling where you want to talk all about yourself, all about your products, all about your services, how brilliant you are. Yeah. And then you get really technical and tell people exactly how this all breaks down. And they're just like, I don't care. It's just not interesting. What about
I
me?
cannot
It's me.
agree. Yeah,
You're supposed to be helping me. Or they just
mm-hmm.
use old kind of Wolf of Wall Street kind of whatever, greed is good techniques,
Mm-hmm.
which are just rubbish anyway. So, those two can come together. They're not working, so you do more of them, and you're now
Mm-hmm.
compounding your issues, and you're
No,
getting
that's so
in a bit of a
true.
spin. Yeah,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's definitely something that I see quite a lot in the online space as well. Like, people using different tactics because it's working for someone out there. So they're like, okay, I'm gonna like copy that and do it. So it's like a vicious cycle, right? So
yeah.
that's definitely something that I have seen a lot.
Or it did work. It did work. It was effective. Now, some of the old manipulative techniques, we should just cross those out and not go there full stop. But some things people do, you say, actually, I know why you're doing it because it was something that was quite clever. But we've moved on from that. You need to get up to date to be able to deal with it, to be able to have a more professional approach.
Mm-hmm,
So again, it's stuff that we will help people to focus on.
mm-hmm, for
Um,
sure, for sure.
and this again, these compound. I mean, if you got a hat trick here, if you got 3 out of 3, you're going to be in a bit of a mess because the third one, the muddled mindset. This is kind of, as an individual, it's kind of, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing. So as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, it could be that you're not clear in yourself. But what I see again working with some bigger organizations is that what the organization is trying to do isn't that obvious. So it's now confusing for the managers who don't really know how they should be directing people and helping people to work. And of course, the poor individual is going, what do I do here? And the worst symptom I see in sort of bigger sales teams is the kind of, yeah, we're consultative, we're long term, we're all about the customer, we drive value. Okay, for 28 days of the month. Then the last 2, it's right, go out and sell stuff. Come on, get some stuff off the shelves, flog it, which is the complete opposite to what you've been saying for the other 28 days. And so now people are like, I don't know, I give up, I'm not sure. And now you're driving me
Mm-hmm.
even further. So I'm getting busy. Yeah. And the techniques you're asking me to do are old. So it's like, okay, 3 out of 3. Oh, no, I'm in a mess.
That's so
Which isn't
true.
funny. I don't know why I'm laughing, but it's just kind of, if you don't laugh, you cry, don't
Yeah.
you?
I think it's like those 3 challenges, we don't really see them. We don't really recognize them. But now that you said it, I'm like, oh, that's so true. Like everyone faces them at one point or another.
Dead right. They creep up on you. And of course, because you're busy and your mindset's muddled, you don't recognize that it's going on. You're kind of there. And one of the things I'll try and help people do is to just stop, listen, collaborate. And I'm sorry to Vanilla Ice. I know I got the words the wrong way around, but it is that order. That's the order for a salesperson. You stop for a moment, listen to what's going on, and then start to collaborate. Yeah, with your colleagues, your customers, whichever way. But yeah, by
Mm-hmm.
calling them out, that's part of my job, is to say, look, these things are probably going on. And if somebody listening has gone, yeah, and they've had an aha moment on that, brilliant. Because now they can just take a moment and think, okay, I now recognize this, I can do something about it. And that's part of what we do at Brindis.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I like, speaking of which, I would love for you to share your strategies with us because I know they're brilliant. We talked about them on your podcast. So I'm definitely going to link it in the description box, but I would love your approach and your take on them.
So just to take on those strategies, and I'll go into depth about how we really do this, but take on the busy, busy, busy. 3 things you can do. Prepare better. Yeah. So just stop, slow down, think about the opportunity, do your homework, work better on it. Yeah. Plan stuff. Don't jump from call to call to call to call to call to call. Stop, take a minute, think about how the call's going to pan out, work out the objective, work out questions, work out what you're going to present. Yeah. And be really clear on what is your sales process. Don't just go running around doing things. Work out that these are the things, this is the order to make stuff work. Those 3 things help you busy, busy, busy.
Definitely.
If you think you're oldie worldy, what do we need to do? We need to get up to date. Yeah, so busy, busy, busy about being effective. Oldie worldy, get yourself up to date. Like, it's easy to say. So what do? Funnily enough, you flip. I know that's the name of your business, but you flip. You flip your attention to that as a customer. Yeah, you focus on them. Stop talking about yourself. Stop being so self-centered. Think about them, their issues, their problems. How can you do something to help them? Yeah. So then you follow the approach which helps identify those issues. So get kind of using the sales process we've talked about, and just focus on things that do work. You know, educate yourself, get up to speed, think about these are modern techniques. So using partnering skills, what I'll talk about in a sec, are one of the ways that you can really get that right proper mindset. The muddled mindset, then, what 3 things we do for that? Clarity. Be clear. What are we trying to do here? What is the organizational goal? Yeah, what's my goal? How, what am I, where am I trying to go? If you've got some kind of management responsibility, you have a coaching responsibility. You've got to help people coach by coaching. Yeah, and if you've got senior management, it's getting others who are in a position to coach to do it. It's something that gets squeezed. It's something that people bin when they're under pressure, busy, busy, busy. But it's one of the areas that you can get massive, massive improvement from. Yeah, and if you haven't, if you're not in that position, again, I'm wary of the audience or aware of the audience who might say, well, I'm not, I'm on my own here, or there's just a couple of us. Find somebody to coach you, coach each other, get a buddy, somebody who who's in a similar position. Yeah, find someone who's going to help you do that. And just be sure that you're confirming your approach is adding value. Are you adding value to the customer? Yeah, so just think, pop the flip is to go, when you've left an interaction, is the customer going, that was really good. God, I really enjoyed that conversation. They've made me think about things. They've shared something. They've given me something. They've done something that's made a difference to me. Or that person's a walking catalogue. They are so dull. You definitely want to be the former.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, they're the kind of the fixers, if you like, or the things that you can change and you can start to look at to really, get on board with a more modern approach to selling.
Definitely. I think you touched on so many great points here. And if anybody missed them and need to hear them again, make sure to check out the show notes in the description box. But yes, I love everything that you just said. I think they can be applied in so many different ways, not just for selling, but just for business in general. Like, I love that you touched on, like finding someone to mentor you, finding a coach, either finding a partner to work together, or you can outsource to someone outside of your organization. And it doesn't have to be just about selling. It could be about every aspect of your business, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, selling is my focus. So I will talk about sales, but yeah, you can apply this stuff. I try to practice what we preach, focus in on, I work with salespeople. Yeah. So it could be senior management. It's more often not the guys that are actually, talking to customers, but that's where I focus. Can I apply a lot of the thinking to others? Yes. But then I'm not going to do as good a job and I'll become as guilty. I'm not guilty of some of these things as well, but by trying to do too much and being unfocused and being scattergun and just throwing things to try and solve everything, when actually the more on point I am, the better impact I can have. And it's about impact.
Definitely. Okay, like, I really want you to share about the PQs now, because I think you touched on them a little bit, because you talked about collaboration and all the different techniques and the challenges. And now I know that you've got such a great strategy, and I know like people would be so interested to find out more about them. So please tell us everything about your approach.
Sure. So collaboration, collaborative selling, that is where we're at now. I mean, you can go through an evolution of how sales has changed over the decades, which is quite interesting. But if we look at where we are now, it is all about being more collaborative. So it's about adding value. It's about how understanding customer issues, so bringing elements of consultative selling in. And it's doing all the good stuff, which means we can work together better to co-create, really. So yeah, I'll put the sales lens on it, but it's not difficult to put an entrepreneurial lens, a wider business lens on, because the foundation of what I do and how I will build in best sales practice is using best partnering skills practice. So partnering
Yes.
skills, PQ, are what give us this really solid foundation. It'll give you your ethos. Yeah. So PQ, it's people have probably heard of IQ and EQ, emotional intelligence. PQ is like the lesser known cousin, but when you look at the elements, they are so useful in sales, in business. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
look, let's break the elements down. So they're all linked. I will talk about them sequentially, but only because I can only talk sequentially. But they imagine that they all come together to form this whole kind of intelligence that if we apply it to how we work, works really well. Though that said, I always start with trust, because that is a foundation for communication. It's a foundation for relationships. So again, I'm saying to salespeople, how can you build trust? You know, how can you become a more trustable person? And yeah, look, I know that's bad English, but trustable is not only, well, it's not just trustworthy, but it's, are people able to, are you able to put your trust in people too? Because it works both ways.
It's so easy to remember as well, like trustable, like that clicks so well in your head, right? Like it makes sense.
Trust able. Are you able to trust? Are people able to trust in you? That's kind of why I use that word. So, you know, we could do numerous episodes just on trust. Yeah. So just think about what can I do to really build that, because it's such a key element. Yeah. What naturally links into that, certainly when we're talking selling or partnerships, is that we've got a win-win focus. So we're talking about mutual benefit. I win, you win. Happy days. And funnily enough, with salespeople in particular, it's not always talking about make sure the customer is okay, because actually a lot of salespeople are pretty good at that. I'm often doing work going, make sure you're okay as well, because a lose-win situation doesn't make any sense. You know, because ultimately customers think this is great. Well, it's not great when you've lost and you're not getting anything out of it, and you've got to turn around and go, actually, it's unsustainable. don't want to work together anymore. So, oh, okay, now I've got to go through the whole process of working with somebody again. So it's all about understanding people's expectations, what they take from something, and then having grown-up discussions in how do we resolve potential conflict, how do we make sure we've got that balance struck.
That's definitely that's another scary one, right? Like no one likes conflict, but like being able to overcome that is part of being a business owner, right? Like you have to be able to do that, because otherwise people are just going to be like, where did you go? Like there's an issue and you just ran away.
Conflict's great. Conflict's great. Look,
Yeah.
it's better if we don't have it, but if it's there, well, you know, it's how we deal with it. So, you know, can we have discussions? Because actually we are in this together. We trust each other. Another element of PQ is interdependence. So we are interdependent. Our success depends on each other. So if we're grown up enough, we can deal with this conflict, or let's call it problem solving. We can be creative with it, and we can come out with something that could well be better. Certainly better than if we don't speak about it. And then I just get more and more fed up, and then ultimately it's, hey Fred, I'm here to sort of talk about this. And so, well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore anyway. I'm off somewhere else, you know. So it's, again, it's how you frame your mindset around this is how I want to do stuff. So yeah, we've got trust, we've got win-win focus, we've got interdependence, and you know, linked to what I'm just saying is another of these elements, which is self-disclosure and feedback. So a couple of things in here. The self-disclosure, it's having the confidence to talk about yourself and to share what it is that you need, and that can be just from a very basic level of, for a deal to be good, this is what I've got to get from it. But if we're talking about relationships and we're talking about going deeper, this is about sort of the authenticity, the vulnerability we often talk about, to say, look, this is how I am, this is how I operate. When somebody knows that, then they can work with you far more effectively, and you can work with them far more effectively. So that's quite a big one, and it comes with feedback. So it's about accepting feedback, so that we can grow, which isn't always easy. It's not nice sometimes if you're having weaknesses
Oh,
pointed
so
out.
true.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice when people are pointing out your strengths.
Oh yeah,
You're good
for
at this. Oh
sure.
yeah, yeah. You're not good at this. Yeah,
But in a way, it's
let's just concentrate on the strengths.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's so much better when people point out your weaknesses because that means they're comfortable. They trust you, right? That you can trust them. We come back to that element that they are there to give you honest feedback and constructive advice. So it kind of links back to that trust element.
They all do link into each other, and yeah,
Mhm.
and if the relationship is that strong that that's what you can do, brilliant, and that's what we should be aspiring to. So yeah, it's accepting feedback, and if somebody's good enough to give that to you, brilliant. Equally, be good enough to give it, which also
Mhm.
isn't easy sometimes. And again, I'll put sales hat on. Some salespeople find this incredibly hard because it could be something a bit blunt, but going to a customer saying, "Hey, look, you are not helping me help you. We said that we would work like this, but we're not. You're not doing your part of the deal. So hey, what are we going to do about this?" Now, a lot of people would completely go, "No, no, no, you can't say that. You can't say that to the customer." No, you have to say that to the customer. If they're not doing their part of the bargain, if they're not helping you to make the best of the whole relationship, we need to talk about that.
Mhm.
And there's
That
ways
is
to
so
do it, and
true.
there's techniques and there's communication skills. But yeah, it's part of partnering, you know?
And it works both ways, like what you said. Just because you're the one that's providing the service doesn't mean that your customer is the only one that can give you feedback. You can give them feedback to help them have a better experience as well. I love that. Yeah, super important.
Yeah, it is. So this is why I love PQ, because the elements just really bring stuff alive. And when you stop, think about them and say, can I apply this stuff deliberately? It changes the nature of relationships. That's why I want to use it with sales. Because
For
we've still
sure.
got two more. We've still got two more to go. We've already got
Yes.
um, another element of it is comfort with change.
Especially right
Change
now. Oh my gosh.
well, always change is a constant, isn't it? So, but yeah, massive change at the moment. So it's when it comes with it, how do we deal with it, and how do we recognise how others are dealing with it? So we're in a massive enforced change now anyway, and people are going through the change curve at different speeds. Some people are probably still in denial. Some people are probably still angry. Some people are just accepting it. Some see it's a huge opportunity. And that's a tool I recommend salespeople to use, is to use the change curve, recognize where you are on it. And quite a lot of salespeople do have this kind of positive mindset. Oh, it's a chance to do stuff. But be careful, because the customer might be at a different stage. And if you're bouncing in full of it, oh, isn't
Yes.
this great? We've got to do loads of different things. We've got this. They're like, hang on a minute. Oh, I don't know whether I'm coming or going. My business has been turned upside down. It's how you deal with that and then guide them and take them through a way in which they can operate. Yeah,
Hmm.
COVID or not, okay, COVID is here, it's real. But salespeople have to challenge change anyway. Status quo, doing the same old thing time and time again, is their biggest competitor. That's what we've got to do with customers. We've got to challenge them and say, hey, look, there are different ways of doing things. And that
Hmm.
is going to involve change. So we become change agents. So it's a big part of selling, and entrepreneur mindset on it's a big part of being an entrepreneur as well.
Hmm.
Understanding it, and there's lots of good other change models out there, but I love the good old change curve. It's great.
Hmm. How
Yeah.
does the change curve work? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so if you imagine a sort of curve that sort of starts sort of going upwards, dips right down, and then sort of goes back up again. Yeah, what you've
Yeah.
got are that people will be on different points on this curve, and everyone goes through this. Everyone goes through every element of it. It's just how fast you do it. And it's the Kubler-Ross curve, and it's very similar to a grief curve, actually, because
I was
quite
just about
often,
to say that. Yeah.
yeah, no, at some stage it's denial. No, it's not happened. It's not real. Just no, didn't. Yeah, and then you get quite angry about things. That's usually the sort of the next thing that you go into. That's not fair. Well, why did this happen? Oh, until you get to that kind of resignated sort of, okay, yeah, I suppose.
Gotta
That's
do
the sort of
something about
bottom of
it.
the curve, if you like. Moving up
Hmm.
more into the sort of, now you're starting to accept it and sort of going, okay, a little glimmer of light, if you like, to, no, I can see the opportunity in this. Let's go for it. Let's get on it, because we can fly. And look, I'll give you my personal example around this, around COVID.
Hmm.
Yeah. I didn't deny it, but I was I was going to the gym until it was shut. So,
I mean, I mean,
I
depending on where
recognize it's
you are in the
real,
world.
but it ain't going to get me. I'm going to carry on, and then it's kind of stuff got locked down, and UK we locked down big time, and I got really fed up with it because it was very inconsiderate. Because all my, I travel a lot with work. It's like all my trips were cancelled. I had some right good trips. I was going off to the Middle East, going to Dubai. I was going to, so very, very. And I kind of went, well, I suppose it's happening, but I very quickly went through that bottom dip to going, look, turn it around, change. Luckily, one of the clients I was working with said, look, we'll just go straight to virtual then. So, okay, right, let's start redesigning training to deliver it virtually very effectively, not just stand and do slides and stuff. And that's quickly got into you know what, these programs are better. I'll say that quietly. No, I'm going to say it really loudly. Some of the programs are now better because we've been forced to chunk it into smaller sections, which means it's far more manageable. People aren't wasting a load of time traveling. So we could take what might be a 3-day training program, which is like drinking from a fire hose, chop it into 3-hour sessions, which are run every week, or every other week actually is the best one, because in between weeks we then do individual coaching. So now people are getting far more attention. They're taking stuff which they can apply practically in real life. And so I'm now going, this is a massive opportunity to kind of do what we knew about training anyway, but people are starting to accept it. Because it was customers as much as us who was driving the 3-dayers. But wow, this is cool. So yeah, that's my own trip through it. So I'm now sort of that top end, accepting massive opportunity. This is great. Well, very enthusiastic. You can hear that. I'm talking to a customer later, and I think they are still probably angry about disruption, if not in that kind of resignated period. I've got to be careful. I've got to temper how enthusiastic, how excited, and how much I want them to come on board with what I'm doing. Not because it's a sale, because it'll be good for them. Well, yeah, I want to sell, of course I do, but it's good for them. But it's how I communicate that and help them along that curve. So I've got to slow down to speed up.
No, absolutely. And that ties in again with trust, because you have to make them trust you. You have to kind of understand where they're at and be able to build that trust, even though you're at a different part of your journey, right? Like you're comfortable with change and they're not yet. So you have to kind of build that relationship and help them get there, right?
Yeah, and win-win. Come back to that. You can see how these all then start to play together, because okay, it's win for me to sell training. Yeah, cool. The win for them is that they get their salespeople back on track. They start to work more effectively because they are struggling a little bit. They're not seeing as many people as they should. Yeah. So I've worked that out. I can see it. It's crystal clear, because it's like a whole load of other clients actually. However, I can't just go in and tell them that. That won't work. That's not a good influence technique. I've got to, well, it's using sales skills. It's to ask questions to help them realize this, to want to come to the party, to hear the solution, to then try it out and see how it's going to work, to then really get exposed to that win, and then we're cooking with gas. Then we're like interdependent and working and actually moving on to this whole future orientation, which is the last element of partnering skills. The last of the way I'm listing them. Yeah. So it's kind of, well, it's all very well me being future oriented. I've kind of plotted out, this is where these guys need to go. Off we go. Happy. But they've got to share that vision. They've got to share the vision. They've got to buy into it. We've then got to make decisions based looking forward. Yeah, because I know what often people do is they look backwards. Oh, we tried this stuff before. Oh, it didn't work last time. Well, when did you try it before? Well, 10 years ago. Video conference technology wasn't as good then. Collaborative tools didn't exist. Anyway, it's not like people aren't used to doing Zoom calls now. Even if you've not done it with work, you're on a Zoom quiz every Saturday night. Yeah, it's comfortable with change. Yeah. Oh, it can't be delivered as well, and then I have to kind of rein it in because it can. I'm great. No, it is. So it's that moves us into that other element. So as I say, I know I'm putting the sales spin on it because that's my focus. I'm trying to kind of
please
think
do.
well, those people need to sell as well, but yeah, I'm sure you put in the notes. We can we can share these so that people can go back and reflect and say, just look at it through different lenses. Look at it with your pure sales hat on. Yeah. Look at it, as an entrepreneur, look at it with business hat on. They're very, very useful. Look at it with personal relationship hat on. Yeah. I hope my wife
They can
doesn't hear that.
be
She'll say,
applied
well, you ought to do that, Fred.
I feel like they're like partnerships, because no matter what stage, what business, what element, what part of your journey, no matter where you are, what you're talking about, partnership is so important, because we need other people, or we need collaborations and connections to be able to grow and live and work, right? So no matter what you're doing, you can kind of apply PQ to your different elements of your life.
You can, you definitely can. And then again, let's just put the entrepreneur hat on. In that, we know a key to success in entrepreneurship is good partnerships. It's making those, it's looking for them, it's
100%.
forming them, it's doing them quickly. That's part of the model. If there's a model of entrepreneurship. Yeah. What I would always advise people is, don't lose sight of win-win. Because though you think that person, they will be superb to partner with, that's great. They've got these contacts, they've got a strong brand. Yeah, they've products brilliant. I would fit in so well with that. Okay, what's in it for them? That's the question. I mean, that's a classic sales question. WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's what customers, that's what partners are. They don't actually ask, but it's what's going on. Because if you're going off, we should partner. It's like, well, okay, but what do I get out of it? So basically, I'm going to pull your business up, and there's nothing. I think there's a balance. There's nothing on my side of the balance. So I'm basically, you're just using me. Not really a partnership, is it? And so again, it's that slow down to speed up. Make sure that you are bringing something to the party. There is a win in it for somebody, and explain that very, very clearly. Make that the front and center. This is why I want to work with you, because you get this, not what I get. Irrelevant. Yeah,
Right,
of course
right.
you're going to get something, and that'll be clear to them. Somebody who's probably somebody who's probably if you're talking about a stronger or position, they will see it. They'll know where you want to do it. So you've got to get very, very clear on, this is why I'm proposing it. Not just, it's gonna be great because you've got loads of customers and you could just introduce me to them all, and then I can go and sell loads too. And what do I get out of it? Yeah, so that's the kind of the thing that I think will be well, all of them are useful. It's just the one that's occurred to me in our conversation just now, is to be very aware of that when you're talking about partnering as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that is such a great tip, because I completely agree. Because sometimes people are like, okay, aim for like the biggest person out there and collaborate with them. But thinking about the element of win-win focus, like you have to bring something to the table as well. So there are ways. I'm not saying you can't collaborate with someone that's huge, but you have to find an angle that would position you somewhere that could give something back to them, right? And that ties in with the trust. Because if you're just like, hey, like, let me come on your podcast, and you've got like 10 million followers, and I'm just going to be there and steal your audience, then obviously you don't have that trust, you don't have the win-win focus. But then if you can build the trust, and if you can come from an angle of service, of helping other people, then that would work so much better, right? And that would lead to, more collaboration in the future, more connections. So definitely consider these different elements when thinking about collaboration and partnership, and like any kind of entrepreneurship and any kind of like niche out there. So I think that's definitely super important and can be super well applied to entrepreneurs.
It is. It's that mindset. If that, if that's the one takeaway people want from here, again, it's what I talked earlier. Not deliberate actually, but it's flip. It's flip your thinking. Yeah, flip into what's in it for them. Put yourself in their shoes. Think about from their side. Does this make sense? Is it exciting? Yeah, pretend you're them, and you're coming up to you and say, "Oh, I want to work with you." Why? Oh, we can do this and this. So what? That's another test question. That's what I train salespeople. Customers, they don't say it out loud. Some do, but not many. They don't go, "You're telling me this, but so what?" Well, why? If you can get your head around that, then you'll be far more effective in how you communicate, how you can go about it, how you can build those relationships, and become a really good partner. That'll turbocharge your thinking, definitely.
Yeah,
And
it's just about like
if you can't, you've got to do something about it. So before you go running off partnering, you've got some more foundational stuff in your own business to be putting in place to make it more attractive.
It's about thinking that one step ahead, right? Like just thinking, how do you build your trust? How do you build that win-win focus, interdependence, everything, right? Like it's all about tying all those elements together and thinking about those not just in sales, but also in like pitching someone. That's kind of selling too, like pitching to someone and asking them for a collaboration opportunity. That's definitely another thing that you need when you're thinking about these different elements, right? So yeah, I love that. It ties in so well.
No, another quick tip then on pitching. So look at if you're going to use a slide deck, look at your slide deck. Yeah. And do you know if there's well, usually what I say to corporates, so there'll be an entrepreneur translation of this, but is there a map of the world in like the first 3 slides with little dots all over it? And they all go, people often say, yeah, there is. How do you know that? I said, how'd you do? Who are you talking about? Oh, look at us. We were founded in 1892, and we've had the 2 founders were John and Fred, and they did this and this and this, and we've got offices all over the world. We've got offices in Japan, we've got offices there, and then we've got these products. We've got 17 product lines, so I'm going to tell you about those one by one. Oh, come on. I don't care. Talk about me.
Yeah.
So flip flip your presentation, flip it upside. That stuff might become interesting if your first slides are, hey, I was looking at your business, I've seen what you've done, I can see where you're targeting customers, I can see where you're successful. I've also seen there's a bit of an opportunity here where we can grow together. Yeah, there's an area which I think you guys could do really well. Right, now you're talking about them, and they'll be going, oh cool, you've done your homework, you understand us. So yeah, I've got some ideas about how you could do. Tell us. Well, okay, well, we have this suite of products that people get that the wrong way around so often. But again, it's just a question of flipping it around.
No, that's such a great tip, actually. I think people actually really need to hear this. It's all about flipping it around and think of the people that you're selling to, you're pitching to, you're asking for collaboration. Just about think about the other person first, right? And then turn it and be like, look, so you need this because of that. Like, build that
Yep.
trust before, like, bring up that win-win focus before you start selling. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is so true. I love that. I just
Yeah.
want to ask
If
you
you're
though, like,
starting with about us, it's the wrong way around. Start with about
yeah.
you, then about us.
Oh, so true. I love that. I do have to stop wrapping up though, and I know you've got a gift for us, and I would love for you to share where people can find out more about it and what it is exactly.
What I want to share is a PQ audit. Hopefully people listen to this and think, well, this PQ stuff sounds cool, but you speak fast, Fred, because you get excited about it. So if we'll put a link in the show notes to go to a web page. So it's on my book website, but there's a page where you can do a test, which will give you a diagnostic of where you are on each of these 6 elements of PQ. So you'll ask half a dozen questions around each element, and it'll give you the kind of spider diagram thing back, little write-up on it, and some reflection questions. So I'll give you some questions for you to stop and think about, okay, how can I, well, first thing you'll look at, oh, I'm lowest on that one. So you'll want to think, how can I get better at it? But then there's some broader questions around just how can I get better at this stuff? So as well as a refresher on what the 6 elements were, it'll give you a personal insight to what yours are.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to go check it out for myself because I think I need that. I need to know where I'm the weakest and where I'm the strongest, and I have to figure that out for my business. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Fill it in
And also,
honestly. Fill it in
yeah, no, yeah,
honestly. You're only be
yes.
kidding yourself otherwise, and what's the point,
Absolutely. And yeah, like, would you like to share also where we people can find out more about you and where people can connect with you?
Sure, LinkedIn. LinkedIn will be the best. I use that a lot. So yeah, connect with me on there. Say where you've heard, if you've heard this, that'd be really cool. And ask me any questions. Ask me any questions about this stuff, about sales in general. About entrepreneurship. I'm in a similar position to many people as well. So going through a lot of this stuff myself. So yeah, LinkedIn will be the go-to, I'd say.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Fred. I think everyone has walked away with so many tips and so many notes. And if anyone needs a summary of the interview, make sure to check out our show notes, which I'll link in the description box. We also have our live interviews with experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community on Facebook. Again, you can find all the links in the description box. We've also started speed networking rooms on Clubhouse where you can connect and collaborate with like-minded entrepreneurs. So if you're on Clubhouse, follow me at Venice and come say hi and chat with us. Thank you again so much for being here, and